A very warm good evening to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar series 4. It's joyful to extend my warm wishes on behalf of Global Forum for Young Philosophers. It is indeed my great privilege to welcome the esteemed academicians who have proved their mettle in their respective fields to this webinar. We are truly fortunate to have Professor S.R. Bhatt, an eminent scholar, an accomplished philosopher, and a true torchbearer to Indian philosophical academia. He is the president of Indian Philosophical Congress, president of Afro-Asian Philosophical Congress, and president of Association of Indian Philosophers International, and he was also the former chairman of Indian Council for Philosophical Research. Sir, with great honor and love, we cordially welcome you to this program. We are also privileged to have Dr. T.P. Shashikumar, another prominent figure in both educational and scientific scenario. He is a space scientist, educationalist, motivational speaker, and spiritual director. It is such an honor, sir, to have you as a speaker for this webinar. We cordially welcome you, sir. And the person behind the stage, the director and the mentor of this webinar is our dear teacher, Professor Shrikala M. Nair. Acknowledging her inspiring presence and love for the growth of young scholars, I warmly welcome dear teacher to this program. I welcome all professors, academicians, research scholars, and other esteemed participants to this webinar. Let this program be a time of academic enlightenment, discussions, and debate. Wish you all a fruitful time. Once again, thank you one and all. Now I welcome Professor Shrikala M. Nair for introductory remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Welcome to you all for the fourth monthly webinar of GFYP. Dr. Shashi Kumar is briefly known to me. I don't think we have directly met. Is that right? Shashi Kumar, who is also a brother of my colleague in the sense that he was my registrar. We have worked together. We used to call him Ravi sir. Is a brother of Dr. Shashi Kumar, is briefly known to me as a co-panelist in several webinars, an independent thinker who has held several academic positions like Director of Academic Staff College in Calicut University and several other positions. He appeared to me as an apt person to address you all. Welcome to you, sir, to this conference.
Now I cordially invite Dr. T.P. Shashikumar to present his paper. Thank you.
Namaskaram to the Global Forum for Young Philosophers. Anu, I don't have any paper to present.
Oh, sorry, sir. I'm very sorry.
I stopped attending all these rubbish conferences long back. I live a life. That's what I do. I'm enjoying my life. Thank you, Professor Shrikala, for giving me this opportunity to talk to great philosophers of the country, probably. I know Bhattji for last 1 year, and I knew him by name earlier. I had gone to ICPR for some purposes at some point of time. And thank you, Anu, and thank you, Shaini, who is going to give the vote of thanks also. I may not get a chance to thank you again. I understand what philosophers speak because I also learned philosophy for 1 year. I am an MA philosophy half from Tirupati University, SB University, but I didn't write my exams because I was busy. My official commitment, I couldn't write exam, but I want knowledge, so I am good enough. And I am also a doctor of philosophy. So
who taught you at Tirupati?
I did at a distance education, so it was all writing. And I learned my philosophy from Dr. Radhakrishnan. That's my philosophy of education and philosophy of India. That's good enough, I thought. And I learned Shankara and Nagarjuna. I learned from Shankara and Nagarjuna sufficient enough, right? Yeah. But my MPhil, I was relating to what Bhattji and then Shrikala is talking because my MBA happens to be in knowledge management. So there is an epistemology which is very close to that information knowledge management, which we call it as corporate epistemology. So I did something close to the ISRO. The knowledge resource, the modern knowledge management is fully the positivist activity of epistemology, probably, if you want to call it like that. So the management and its philosophical values is what I have learned. Probably I learned Nagarjuna Sakshat Anubhava Irdrishto Nasruto Na Guru Darshidaha Lokanam Upakaraya Edat Sarvam Pratarshidam. That's what the actual science of philosophy. Assume it is not what some professor speaks, which is the right thing, which I don't believe, and I am sure that is what Nagarjuna taught the Indian philosophers. We have to anubhava, experiential knowledge is what is to be done. That can start from what Professor Bhatt was telling, from the unit level, the cell level, to the universe. Yada pinde tada brahmande. What is there in the cell is there in the brahmandam also. Yena chakshusha na pashyanti, yena chakshunchi pashyatihi. The consciousness which is in my eye is what is making me to see what is around this world. And that same consciousness is there in the whole universe. If somebody can understand that, I understand, the knowledge is understood. And that's only human who can understand this, nobody else. So as a social being, as a human being, we are somebody who is hunting for knowledge every moment. If you stop hunting, then you are not a human being. Manushya Rupena Mrgascharanti. As an animal, two-legged animal is running, that's all. So it's part of life. Ahara Nidra Bhaya Maidunani Samani Chaitani Nranam Pashunam Nanam Naranam, only Nanam. Otherwise, Pashubis Samana, you are equal to an animal. So it's part of learning, is part of life. That's why I call life is live in full enjoyment. Otherwise, life is learn in full enjoyment. And if you don't enjoy and learn, that's not learning. That's only collecting data, jugglery, lot of words, which doesn't make any meaning. Because meaning is not in words, meaning is in your manas, in your mind, the emotion, feeling, passion. None share knowledge. Everybody shares only data. When Professor Bhatt is talking, if I don't understand the word by word meaning, how do I make the sentence meaning out of it? So it's only data. It's like a dictionary. Otherwise nothing. So I interpret, I analyze, I judge, I compare, and that I convert into information. And that information becomes my knowledge. And that knowledge we have different vidya, savidya, whatever you want. And when I add my vivekam and vivechana buddhi, critically analyze it, that in different situations, I get a different meaning for that. That is what my knowledge is. And when I apply in distinct different situations, if the same step, same knowledge, everywhere I give same talk, then that is not experience. That is actually repeating. In mathematics, 1 into 1 into 1 into 1 doesn't become, 30 times you multiply, it doesn't become 30, it becomes only 1. Adding is in different situations. You keep on adding in different situations. Contextually modify what you speak at least. Then that interpretation happens, that analysis happens in your mind. Add value to what you speak. Not the same stuff always at all the places. And that is what is experiential. I'm sure that has a societal purpose. At least that has a purpose in your life. You enjoy. And that is what is life journey as far as I am concerned. So my topic is exactly, I am moving to my topic, which talks about life journey. It is not a life travel. I am not moving from my childhood to adult age to the old age just by shifting me in my growth, not a biological growth, not a intellectual growth, not an emotional growth. And it is actually a collaboration of everything together. And that in our Indian philosophy, we have got Kama, Artha, Dharma, Moksha. That Purushartha is exactly the life journey. And when you travel through that, I call it as MBA, mind balancing attitude. If the buddhi and the manas can be balanced, that's what emotional intelligence. I have a book written on emotional intelligence. If you look at what that process which happens, I've got a passion, I've got liking, I love to do something, but immediately my brain will say, no, it's not good, because logic is more active in everyday's life, practical life. And that's why we say he's more practical man than an emotional. So how do you balance this? And that is what it happens from different stages in life. Let that be at the the brahmacharya level. I don't know what brahmacharya is understood by many, but my understanding is hridaya guhara madhye kevalam brahma matram. Inside your hridaya there is a brahma, and that always hunts for knowledge. I'm chasing for knowledge. That chase happens, and therefore I'm creative. You don't learn anything unless you are creative. The creativity is inside you. That makes you to learn many things in your life. And from there, I moved to a social life called Garhastya, and then Vanaprastha, and to Sannyasa. And that 4 steps of life, the 4 stages of life, the 4 ashrams of the Vedic life, which it is not Vedic, it is even today that's true. We have got a studentship and then a family life, and then going into a grandparent style where you don't involve in everything. If you keep involving, that becomes problem. Then sannyasam is where you do social service. That's where CSR or ISR, individual social responsibility. That is what you are supposed to do. The stage of life, the realizing the ideal life is what everyone has to have. Then you have what is called as the real, I call it as WEPT, W-E-P-T. The wealth gaining at the Garhastya level, and add your ethics by learning as much as you can and derive pleasure out of it, the P, and the transcendence what you get, the W-E-P-T, WEPT. The WEPT, if you can get it, then you have a holistic happiness, the pleasure seeking happiness in life, and that is non-stoppable, and it is at different level. I want a highly interactive session. I thought I am in the mood of talking blah 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 blah, which is not my cup of tea generally. So I want to know from any one of you, what is the pleasant stage of body called?
Repeat. What is it?
What is the pleasant stage of body called?
Inner harmony.
Anybody else? I want different words to come.
Please speak.
What is the pleasant stage of body?
When you are lying down.
What is that state called?
Pardon?
What is that state called? That state is called health.
Health. Okay.
That is the pleasant state. So what is required for a human being is health. That means being pleasant is what is required. And what is pleasure? Assume that you are not in pleasant state of health. Will you be getting into happiness, pleasure? You cannot. Therefore, what is pleasure? Pleasure is the superlative degree of pleasantness. Because once you reach in one stage, next stage is what is superlative degree. So what is very pleasant body? Very pleasant body is the pleasure body. So I am a pleasure body because I enjoy. I distinctly, you must look at my video which says the disease and illness has to be understood different. Illness is a health problem, but still I can be pleasant. But if I take my illness and then start talking about my illness, that becomes a big disease for most of the people. They share problems. And I don't know, how does it help anybody sharing problems? It's only making the other fellow also unpleasant. When I say I have a problem, immediately Professor Srikala will say, I also have same problem. See, that's what is sharing. Actually, that is most unpleasant. Why do you want to share problems? Unless you are a doctor, no? This has become a big psychological problem. I am a psychotherapist. I have an MS in psychotherapy. I am knowledge. I have got a degree, at least in psychology. If you understand, this is one of the biggest problems. So I distinguish between illness and disease. Don't get disease. You can have illness. Ignore it. What is the purpose of learning the philosophy and you don't apply in your life? So the whole body has to be very pleasant. So I am in pleasure. Now let us look at buddhi. These are all different components. What is the pleasant stage of buddhi? I have a book written on life made simple. This is my book with discussions with my students on Orkut. And the release day, there was one Professor Akavur Narayanan. He is a great literary expert from Delhi University, professor who is no more now. He said, by birth, every human is very simple and peaceful. We are only complicating it, making it much worse. The buddhi is peaceful. As a young child, we are all peaceful. That's a pleasant stage. What is the very pleasant stage? That is joy. And we are all hunting for joy. Not even looking at peace, we are jumping for joy. Not being healthy, we want pleasure. We want to go to superlative degree without reaching into the first level. That's our problem. And what is emotion? Emotion is love. The pleasant state of emotion is love. And the very pleasant state of emotion can be compassion. We don't understand the superlative and the related degrees. And energy of life, that is in the full extent of pleasantness, is called bliss. And when that reaches into the high pleasant stage, that becomes ecstasy. And our aim is to get into that superlative degree in all senses. And it's all within us. It is not in anybody else. But we are more into outside world than into inside world. We all look for out. I happens to be the disciple of Swami Rama, not Ramdev, Ram, the Himalayan master. His disciple is Swami Vedabharati. I am his disciple. We believe in Himalayan tradition of meditation, not marketed well. That's why I wanted to tell it is not Swami Ramdev. Because whenever Swami Ram says, people only know famous people but not the meritorious fellows. That's a problem. He doesn't have a lot of marketing, right? He is the real Himalayan master who was a Kanchi Kamagodi Pida chief who left his position. Because he don't want to be in that post. He said, I am not an administrator, I am a meditator. Why should I be in the administration? Because everybody wants power and position. Not that looking inside us. Everybody wants to look outside. And we look for the surroundings for success. And we are successful for what? For that moment. But irrelevant in your life. We have seen successful people. The other day I was watching Harshad Mehta. Most successful businessman one day. No, the bad boy billionaires. A beautiful story about the Sahara chief, Kingfisher chief, all successful businessmen. What happened to them? That is because they don't look into themselves. They don't have that life of body, mind, you want to call it as buddhi and manas, and the spiritual and social level. If you can balance this, I am sure you become happy. And that happiness, which is exemplarily high, where you cannot, uncontrollable passion, could be the love which we talk about, the teenage love where you hide themselves, thinking that you don't see it, nobody is seeing you. Actually, they are hiding, thinking that they are hiding. Actually, they are not hiding. Many people see them, but still they are into their own world. That's why they don't see outside. And that love is philos. I wrote a poetry for somebody's birthday. That is why when Professor Srikala asked me a title, immediately what I did was I had a book I just opened. I got this page and I gave that a title without thinking much. So the poetry is from philos to agape. So I believe that is what is life journey. We had that by birth, by younger age. You can read this poetry book, The Life of Love, in my website. You can easily download that. Type in Dr. TPS, Life of Love, you will get that book. And the second poetry is The Philos to Agape. That's what I thought I have to give as a title. Because childhood we have a passion. That is what our brahmacharyam is. Everybody want to learn. Unless your parents force you, you have to learn because you want to get this job. I get lot of career counseling opportunities because many people, I come on to radio and TV in Gulf. Once I return, I get thousands of people queuing up. Yesterday and today also we had a few people. Which course I have to join? What should I do? What do I earn money? Immediately they want to know how much money I will get if I do this course, how much salary which I get. Because life is full of earning. Everybody want money. Arjide dukkham, veye dukkham, dhanam sarvatra dukkadam. To understand that, you have to get into a higher level. But who has taught them this? It's all the elders. It's all the so-called parents. And they are the people who did not allow them to enjoy learning. Because learning is not enjoying. Learning is to build something for tomorrow. That's why I call life is LIFE. Learn for what? For future earning. Learning is an investment for future earning. They think that learning is an investment, no more a passion. And therefore what do? They wanted to get certificates. When we look at students, We only see students sitting for certificates. You attend a conference in philosophy, let that be somebody's lecture. They don't care whether Professor Bhatt is talking or not. Immediately the message will come. Do I get a certificate? I don't know what sort of an education is that. Everybody wants e-certificate. I used to ask people, no, how many certificates you want? I will give hundreds. But tell me, what did you learn from this? And they don't. Everybody, today when you give an assignment, immediately you will say, you give this assignment back in time, you will get attendance. You attend to this seminar, then you will get double attendance. What is this, yeah? Are we bribing? And this is what happened. Therefore, what has happened? Who is responsible? It's all the so-called teachers who are responsible. Now we have started bribing students. The bribing in terms of certificates, bribing in terms of attendance. Therefore, the philosophy of learning is lost. The philosophy of learning is lost. Otherwise, knowledge is something which you believe, what is essential for your life. And that is what our life says. We have to learn. There is only what we get. I have to be a Brahmin who is actually love for learning. That is what makes a Brahmin. And if I love power and position, I become a Kshatriya. If I love only money, then I become a Vaishya. What are we doing? We are not making either Brahmins or Kshatriyas. We are making only Vaishyas. They want money. And Shudras, they just wanted to enjoy. And 80% of the students today are only Shudras. They just wanted to enjoy. That is. Vedandago Brahmanahasya Kshatriyo Vijayi Bhavet Vaishyo Dhana Samruddha Shudra Sukham Apniyat. Just Sukham. And just Sukham without any of these is actually madness. Because they enjoy without a reason. Enjoyment has to be mixed with either knowledge, learning, or remove L, earning, or fame. There is only three factors: learning, earning, fame, and happiness. And if you don't learn, if you don't earn, if you don't become famous, and you just become happy, that is actually Shudra Avastha, which you don't have any bank account, you don't have any learning every day, and you don't earn every day. What is that? You don't have power and position. That has to change. I think philos is what is life. And if you run in philos, then probably at the end of life you reach to agape. What is agape? It's actually the spiritual level in which the blissfulness is what you get. And that, even Bhagavad Gita, I think, the Andakalecha Manasesmaran, 8th chapter, I think. 8th chapter, Andakalecha Manasesmaran. That's what it says. Yeah. Andakalecha mameva smaren muktva kalebaram yaprayadi samadbhavam yadi nastasya samshayaha. That andakale, that when you get into spirituality, you start loving God for no reason, that becomes agape. And that God you realize who is living with you is your God. Anybody who is around you is your God. You think about a person who is almost going to die. The person who is supporting his hand will become his God. That's it. When Vivekananda, somebody asked, how do I learn meditation? So he said, you push somebody inside water and then he is almost going to die. Somebody pick him up and that he becomes his God. And the time of the small gap between the breath and the death, the last breath and the death, that will teach you what is meditation. I think that is what is important. Otherwise, in life, what will happen? You will learn so much, but you will not end up in keeping something with you. Everybody wants to learn, everybody wants to earn, everybody wants to get fame. But what happens is, how many people can keep this live with them throughout their life is big question. That is where the center of Bhagavad Gita. I must have quoted this slokas 1,000 times because I keep giving lectures to insurance people. The insurance center, there is a saying, Yogatshemam Mahamyaham. But most of the people don't know. Just because of Bhagavad Gita, this sloka, I got a lot of money. Because I started marketing this, saying that this is from Bhagavad Gita. Just teaching that, I got a lot of lectures. Ananyas chintayanto mam yojana paryupasade tesham nityabhi yuktanam yogatshemam mahamyaham. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Focus, focus, focus. When you can focus? Only when you have interest in that. I have not seen all, I must have taught more than 6 lakhs of teachers. going around the world. Last year, this time I was in US. I keep on teaching students and teachers. I tell only one word, most of the teachers are beggars in the class. They keep on begging, please listen, please listen, please listen. Why do you beg for attention? I don't understand. I have not seen a cinema theater in which the cinema director comes and says, please listen to my movie. Everybody is totally attentive. No headache, no stomach pain, nothing. But in the classroom, they have all the problems.
Can I intervene?
Yeah.
Sukumar Ariko, the famous author,
Yeah.
said that what is the term, what is that sentence the teacher most use? Look here.
Yeah.
Because students are always looking out.
They don't look, they don't, see, that is why I keep saying, when I said this,
I know that, we teachers keep saying, look here,
look here, look here, because you want attention. The attention please is the other way, word colloquially used is look here. Look here means please attend me, please attend me. Why people are not looking at you? Because you are not Sushmita Sen. You are not Shah Rukh Khan. Today morning I had a lecture for the MBA students in Chalakudi. When I was talking, there was one director who was my colleague in some other college some point of time. He was saying Dr. Shashikumar's class used to be full. Because the dragging attention is what essentially you require. That cannot be by blah blah blah. You have to talk something from your heart. I am saying the knowledge has to come from your heart to heart, not from buddhi to buddhi. Buddhi is not open. You should have passion. When you have attention, will come only when you focus. The focus happens only when you have got interest in that. How do you pursue interest? Most of the students will come, sir, when I sit in the class, my buddhi goes here and there. I said your buddhi is working. That's wonderful. And it is unfortunate that teachers are not able to grab your buddhi close to them. See, this is pathetic. That is pathetic because most of the jugglery words you don't understand the meaning at all. It is just like that, some jugglery. You don't look at even dictionary to understand the meaning. I am sure everybody should be referring dictionaries. And all teachers are like doctors who are testing. Examination is what is done to patient by a doctor. Similarly, teachers also do examination. Teachers also do testing. But when we see them fail, we just make them to pass. We will allow them to go to the next ward. I discharged my patient, go to the next doctor. We don't treat them at all. So, it became a chronic disease. When they become graduates, they don't know what is that. They don't know post-graduation, PhD, permanent head damage, perspiration, humiliation, degradation. Most of the people want a PhD to get a job. It is not for doing research further. Why? If you look at most of the PhDs in India, they just do PhD just for finishing, getting a job. I finished PhD. Why am I good? I have seen a lot of people who passed with very difficulty. That's what I call PhD. Passed with high difficulty. And they don't know anything about the subject. What is it? That is because we don't have that happiness, passion in learning. And that comes, I'm sure you will enjoy life. Every moment in your life. The life of love, the rhythm of life, these are my points. I only write about life. If you don't enjoy, why are you here? The life doesn't become a journey, it becomes a travel. The travel and journey is entirely different. Enjoyment added to travel becomes journey. It becomes exploratory. It becomes a discovery. You have to have your own self-respect. You start loving yourself. That's what is dignity. Do you have that in your life? If not, the love becomes a directionless love. You don't love yourself. You should start loving your work. Otherwise, quit the job. I remember giving training for senior superintendents in government. Somebody says, sir, I am not getting promotion for last 20 years. I said, why can't you quit? Sir, if I quit, I don't get a job. So that means you are useless. And still you want promotion. See, what a situation is this? How can I just throw jobs? Because I am sure I will get some other job. Why do you worry? You know that you are useful to somebody else. That is the credibility you should have. The future will come to you. You don't have to hunt for your future. And that is what the daring. Love is actually courage. Love is fearlessness. You have love for God, I am sure you understand that He will help me at the right time. You have love for yourself, you know I am courageous. And that is what gives you the skill. That can be learning skill, that can be earning skill, whether you are in a firm or a farm or in a home, doesn't make a difference. You know how to become happy, how to do business. The purpose of life is to identify the situation, time, skill, opportunity, encash it at the right time. Let that be the student life or let that be the employee life. If you don't do that, I am sure you will start hating yourself. And we call it in different names in psychology, which I don't want to explain here. So this is what happens. So what is essentially required? The philos, the real love which you have in your childhood, which everyone has. The curiosity is there as we take birth. I keep on asking, what is this, idanda. As a small child, everything I will start grabbing. And then your parents will tell you, how does it matter to you? Don't ask this question, because they are not able to answer that. And today I just asked some question, no response. Because the class is like bulldozing. No response at all. Nobody asks. Questions are not there. And questions are only manipulated to ask questions. It is not coming from internal. No, we can understand whether it is really required for your life or not. No? When there is that in between philos and eros, agape, there is a place called eros. The eros is socially binding. Assume that you got married. Then when you go for a marriage or a social party or go to somebody's relative, immediately you have to catch the hand and then hold them together. Otherwise they will ask, you came alone. It's like a big crime. See, showing that you are with somebody else is actually what is called, that is why in the poetry, the second place is called eros. These are all Greek words. You must understand this Greek word. The philos to eros then goes to agape. There is a social requirement. Getting a job is a social requirement. Marriage is a social requirement. If you don't marry, then people ask, why you did not get married? It's 30 years old. As if 30 years you don't marry, the world is going to be out. Upset, no? See, this part of understanding what is philos, what is eros, what is in between there is something else. The family love which makes you to do something is called storge, S-T-O-R-G-E, storge. And that storge is another in between the eros and the philos. And then agape. This is what is life. Who described this? These are all described by the society. Are you part of the society, understanding it, or you create the society? Or because there is a society created, you bulldoze that and then go in the same style. I think this is where you have to understand your individuality. That's why I like some of the movie called Dear Zindagi, where Shah Rukh Khan was people should see all the movies, I think. Then you understand what is life. Life is actually depicted in beautiful movies. Okay? It is easy to love those people who love you and who are lovable. Otherwise, it becomes only a eros, not an agape. So actually, you should jump from philos to the agape. The splitting out, take out this, the so-called social requirement, the so-called artificial. Otherwise, your life will not become, life becomes simple is what I write. The life doesn't become simple, it becomes complicated. The life becomes so diplomatic life. That is to be understood. The agape comes because you are alone, you are lost, you are hurting, you need somebody. And you cannot stay without, unlovably you become nothing. That situation will come probably at some point of time. That, if you understand, that is self-actualization. That is where a spiritually matured life has to become. As a human being, I am sure only human beings have this ability to get spiritually higher. And if you can understand that in life, you have to get into physical, emotional balancing. Physically, stuff has to be there with you, so that you can have anything else is not there, you can still be in pleasure. And then emotionally balanced. That is what, not Detachment, not attachment. Bhagavad Gita is misinterpreted. Not bounded. Bondage should not be there. Bandhanam is different. If Krishna did not had attachment to Arjuna, he would have never taught Bhagavad Gita at all. But no bondage. Bondage is not there because the last word says, if you want, you do it, otherwise I don't care. If you do it or not, I don't mind. I will be with you. See, that is the ability. Yadeshchati tada guru. It is not that I told you all this, therefore you should do it. Today's parents will tell you, I am telling you, you should do it. Like Tilakan tell, in the dialogue to Mohanlal. I am telling you, I am your father. See, what is that? Earlier fathers were great because they had great knowledge than the students or the kids. Now kids are more knowledgeable than the parents. The students are more knowledgeable than the teachers. So the authority is lost. You should only love them. And it has to be a mutual life. It is not that I am teaching you and I am the professor, I am the teacher. No, I don't like to be called as sir at all. I tell everybody, don't call me sir. Once upon a time, Britishers give a sir in between, and before my name I would have accepted. Sir Isaac Newton, Sir C.V. Raman and all that. That is not there. Why should I be called as Shashikumar sir? No. To call me Dr. TPS. That's all what I tell my students. And we keep meeting. Every week we have got some sessions. We learn. Why do we learn? Just because I love learning. It is not for getting a job. It is not for getting something or something. That's not. Are you enjoying the learning? Why am I talking now? Because I am enjoying. I don't know whether you may be suffering or not. I don't care. As long as I enjoy, I am sure somebody listening to me also will enjoy if our frequency matches. If our frequency doesn't match, we don't enjoy. That's it. And that frequency matches where we make people to grab to you, drag to you. And that is what is essential. And that if you can sustain, I am sure that is what the real love. It is not for dollar, money. It is for my own heart. Therefore, knowledge has to go from heart to heart. It has to go with the passion. It has to, that then you get automatically motivated. There has to be a motivation which comes because I love myself. I love this. It is the root which gives me to think, and the action which gives the root, the stem, and the fruit gives me the meditation. That is what Mulado Brahma Rupaya, Madhyado Vishnu Rupine, Agrada Shiva Rupaya. The root is the Brahma, which makes me to think. The root of thoughts has to happen. Every word has to be churned with a lot of creativity. And then I am sure I will grow. If my root is strong, the growth will be better. And the fruits also will become better. So that has to be the essence of life. Be creative. Be innovative. Not you cannot create, and discovery is impossible probably. But will you be able to have little bit of improvisation in your life which makes you feel that, yeah, I have done something good. Let that be a lecture. Am I doing something better than what I did earlier? Is it the same stuff in same rhythm, same full stop, same comma? If that doesn't happen, how do I enjoy my work? How do I enjoy my life? And that has to be our approach. And this is what I wanted to tell you. I think I thought of stopping at 8:15, starting from 7:30. Though I started at 7:45, I wanted to stop with half an hour because I think some questions and discussions, if at all it is useful, that is what I love.
Dr. Tippings, you could go ahead if you would like to speak.
No. I never do it in any of my classes. I got sufficient blah blah blah. You can also read from anywhere. But interaction is most important. That's what I believe in my classes. Yeah.
Anu, invite questions.
I think everybody understand my English, right? If there is somebody who can ask questions here.
I think
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
you have collected questions in the chat box.
Yeah, I will see that. But I love to see the face and then
Well,
ask questions.
I have a question in the chat box for you, sir.
Yeah. But could you repeat it or tell me? I will be happy.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
When you were speaking about students
Yeah.
wanting to learn just to obtain a certificate,
Yeah.
that their focus is just on the licensure.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile the conflict of desire for a student who wants to learn on one hand just for the pure sake of obtaining knowledge, and also has the desire on the other hand to obtain a degree that might gain them access to future learning environments?
See, I'm sure a good student always get access to the higher learning. The student who is, we have got 20% of the students probably in the normal classroom who are looking for knowledge. We have got maybe 60% of the people who come just for certificates. There are few people who wanted to get some skill out of it to get a job immediately after that. So when we teach young children in the lowest level, maybe I am teaching somebody in the 10th grade. I am teaching mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, all the subject thinking. Some of them will start going for higher education. I don't know who among them is capable, eligible, interested. So it's like throwing something in front of somebody else who is going to grab. I'm sure my teachers never knew that I'm going to take a PhD in mathematics when they were teaching mathematics. Same biology teacher thought that no, I will become a biologist. Chemistry teacher thought that I am going to do PhD in chemistry. When that is why the filter happens. And after that, for going for higher education in India, we have a system. I'm sure there in the SAT also in the US, you filter them, then say you want to go to biology. I was teaching students for SAT last year in US. So we asked them first, do you want to go to biology? Then this is the stream you have to go. So that means we stream out somebody. When they learn biology in the graduation, then we filter them to know whether they want to go to nanotechnology or they want to go to microbiology. So I'm sure the filtering happens. Then why are we teaching large number of people in the lower level? Because we don't know who reaches on the top of the pyramid. So the filtration is part of learning, I'm sure. So who reaches on the top, maybe we are unable to identify who is the 20% who is really looking for higher education in different steps. By nature, by the system itself have got that sort of a structure. That is why we give in the childhood education, we give a thorough 2 languages we give. One language is the normal language, the mother tongue or other tongue. And the another language is mathematics. If 2 languages you know, logic, reasoning, analytical skill, everything comes to them, I'm sure you become good in learning most of the subjects. Only when you grow to the higher level, you understand all these subjects are one and the same. Got it? So I'm sure you...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sir, you were just telling about a person in government service saying that he's bothered about his salary, about his hike and all.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, how can a man contribute to the eradication of this problem of corruption in our system? How can a common man,
See,
what are the necessary steps?
the corruption is
Today,
just...
one whole news is about an IAS officer done something, the front page is covering the full thing. At least one column should be there. How can a common man contribute to stop corruption in our country? And our country will improve much, I feel.
The corruption is because of the priority requirement by everybody. I want to get prioritized. That's where the corruption starts. The prioritization is required because there is a big queue, the huge queue. If everybody is able to get services as and when required, and the queue is very less, I am sure there are no corruption. So what is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is population. So you look at the place where less population, less queue, the corruption becomes less. And the identification of people becomes, the marginal difference is okay, but a huge difference in the rich and the poor, and who can approach some society requirement and not. That creates a lot of trouble. And if there are punishment schemes, I know you are LLB, I am also an LLB.
Yeah.
So we understand the legal terms. Unless our punishment system is faster and quick and very strict, I think this keeps on happening. See, if you cross the road by mistake and the traffic get jammed, India there are no punishments. But if that happens in UAE, especially say Dubai, immediately he will get a fine of 150 dirhams. But he is not supposed to pay 150 dirhams at a step. He has to pay 10 dirhams per day for 15 days. He himself has to go and stand in the queue. So the punishment is not money. Punishment is the time which you have. So the richest man's Penalty is not 150 dirhams because his 15 days of standing and paying that will cost him much more. You understood? So these are all highly logical system of punishment which is to be established. We are not do it in India because everything is political, everything is democracy. So it's a huge topic. I think we should take it up and discuss later. I think otherwise Shrikala will throw me out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Others, please. Let's not waste time. Others? If there is no one, then Madhu, would you like to ask?
I'm really spellbound.
I know,
Such a
Madhumita.
nice-
I was looking at your face. Some faces are inspiration for us to talk. Always. Yeah.
It was such a nice session that the impact of it will remain for a few days.
Yeah, I think I have crossed or thrown something into your heart, it will remain. Today morning I had a session for some MBA college, and MBA first year student called me, and then student asked, how do you know me? She happens to be my student when she was in 8th or 9th class. So after 6 years, she calls me as a guest for a program that is Keraliyam, the Kerala birthday celebration, November 1st celebration. So it happens, yeah. Tell me, Madhumita.
So I will definitely, the impact will remain for a few days, definitely. And some will remain for the rest of the life.
You can listen to me almost every day. I post one video. You can listen to Dr. TPS on YouTube. You will see most of the days we have something or other.
But listening in this session is something different.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Being part of such a session.
But nowadays everything is digital, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? I would like to ask Dr. TPS, can you have thrown several issues and each is a problem individually addressed, and we philosophers, we address one by one. That is our habit.
Yeah.
And we are not capable of addressing issues parallelly.
Yeah.
We just fix one and then dive deep. That is our habit. So I could not focus on many of the problems that you have addressed. But one issue that comes to my mind is, we were talking about this student-teacher issue, and I was also intervening, telling you that the term that, the sentence that mostly used in the classes, look here. And the Indian situation. The Indian situation is that you have a huge class where, students are passed, as you have said, that you have released from your ward and then pushed to the next ward. That happens. And then you get students who do not know how to sit in the class, who do not know how to write. And, you are depressed as a teacher. But, and then you search for faces who listen. And I'm sure Madhu also would agree with me. But these are the realities in India. And granted, and most of the participants here are my students. And they will remember that if one student thinks something else, then I will stop the class and then I'll ask him, what is your trouble? Do you want to go out? Kind of. Even one student's display thoughts trouble me. But that could be managed in MPhil class in Shankaracharya University, in master's program in Nalanda. But once I've come back to Shankaracharya University, I'll have to restart my master's in Shankaracharya University and really wondering, what am I going to do? Like, this huge class where most of the students are thinking things other than philosophy. How to address students, because they come with reservations for reasons other than academics. For reasons other than academics, they are in the class. And you have obligations to teach them, you have obligation to attract them towards the discipline. And I can't sing a song for them. I will have to speak philosophy. And though they might prefer me singing, then I'll have to speak philosophy. So it is very, very unpleasant. Your tips.
I'm sure a good cook is one who doesn't cook only one item. So I am a teacher who teaches mathematics. I am a teacher who teaches English. You can see I teach most of the subjects. And I also had a class where 6,300 children of 10th class sitting for 6 hours non-stop to listen to me how to prepare for exams. It doesn't matter small class or big class. A good cook can cook for 2 people or 300 people. It doesn't make a difference, I think.
No. It
It's
is one to speak about how to prepare an exam.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. What I did for 6,300 children, I said I am going to pick up random, and then I will ask you to repeat that sentence which I spoke last, and I am going to pull you from the middle, random selection. I keep doing it in my class. So in my engineering college, when I teach maths, physics, chemistry, environment science, electrical, electronics, mechanical, civil, I taught all these subjects in random. I never had a timetable. Whenever somebody has question, my seminar hall is open. What I do is, soon after I teach, I will ask them, tell me what did I say last. And their assignment is writing notes and sending me. If they don't write, it doesn't work. The biggest problem, teachers started giving notes. They are not taking notes.
No, we don't do that.
People have to take, I am not talking about Professor Srikala, you are genuine great. I am talking about general education system. So what happens is, students don't write. If you don't write while listening, while Bhattu was talking, I already wrote pages and pages. If I don't write, you don't learn. At the end of the day, you have only blah, 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 gas. I'm seeing hardly few children. I'm sure if somebody is not writing, and the end of the day, your assignment marks should be the looking at the note. And I was teaching management science in one of the colleges. My assignment, that was an autonomous college, there is an internal mark. What I asked them is, send today's note as it is in your brief. You send it to me. And that, a comprehension, if they can write, they understood. And digitally it becomes very simple for me to compare between somebody's note to another note, whether there is a repetition they have copied or not. So it becomes, I wrote a book out of that, because those notes becomes my lectures. I go just like this and then speak, all of them becomes a beautiful notebook. So I'm sure the feedback is, that is what Gnanesh principle. There is a great teacher lecture methodology. I have a book on adaptive learning. How to make you a teacher who is adaptable to the students. That can be from KG to PG, doesn't make a difference at all. You can make everybody to listen to you. I guarantee that. I keep telling you, give me the worst children. I did a beautiful program called Icon. The worst 90 children in a village. Everybody, teachers and parents says, my children will not pass examination. I picked up them. 10 years back, I did that experiment in Kerala. And now, the last 1 month back, we had a get-together. They're all into PG. They all got good marks. It is not for marks which I taught. I asked them to see movie. After 10 minutes, I will stop the movie and ask them, pull them and then say, acted. It doesn't matter which subject. I am a mathematics teacher. I am sure it is much. I am not singing song. I make them to solve problems. I teach logical reasoning, arithmetic, differential equations, probability theory. I am sure it is much difficult than most of the other topics. So, when I teach Wordsworth probably, I will become Wordsworth. When I teach Macbeth, I will become Macbeth. It is giving that sort of a drama, that sort of an image in them, that you are the source. Otherwise, it becomes only by-hearted and then dumping. It becomes only the vomiting in the classroom. It is not, it has to be interactive. You need to ask children, ask questions. And I'm sure today everybody can read. A textbook is available. Most of the time I ask my students to read and come to the class. I don't lecture. From that what you read, ask questions. And then I can answer you. If I'm sure that sort of group activity, lot of discussions. This is what Gnanesh 9 principle, which talks about quiz competition, asking questions, group discussions. Acharyat padam adate padam shishya swamedhaya padam sa brahmacharibhya padam kalakramena cha. Yesterday I was teaching mathematics. I said it is not true in mathematics. From Acharya you can learn only 1/8, not 1/4 also. You have to learn half. With your students together, you can learn 1/4. If you don't do this, later in your life, you can only learn 1/8. So the teachers have less to contribute in today's situation. There are a lot of material to read. They must read and then come back with homework. That is what is essential. I think the teaching system has to change. There is no difference between teachers and students today. Students are much brighter, brilliant, if directed well. The teachers are only producers, directors. You don't have to write stories. Stories are already there in the textbooks. You are not doing something great about it. So that is what I do to my students.
Thank you. If you look at the chat box, you have a question by Satyanarayana Swami.
Can you read, or Satyanarayana can read? Or somebody else?
Satya, can you read it for yourself? Satya? Satya, are you there? Satya's connection is gone.
Yeah, sir, myself Satya, because of my internet I can't turn on video. My question is hope to cope with the...
My question is how to cope with guilty. How
Yeah.
to cope up with guilt feeling, probably. That's what he meant.
The guilty feeling is only where, when, why, who, in front of whom, how, who does it. There is nothing called right and wrong. Where you do it, with whom you are doing, how are you doing, that what makes it different. I know somebody is doing PhD between the truth and the fact, right? I keep saying the truth is static. There is nothing which cannot be dynamic. The fact can change. We feel guilty. Oh, he know that I did it. If you are not looking at how others look at you, the guilt feeling is not there. The guilt feeling comes only when people think about how they think about you. I am sure that is what is to be changed. That is what I said as the Savidya, Vivechana Buddhi and Viveka Buddhi. If you know what, when, where, how to be done, then that is what is called Vivekam and Vivechana. If that can be understood, then there is no guilt at all. You will never do that sort of a mistake, because value system is part of your life.
Remain.
Yes, sir. Actually, so you have said that when somebody shares his or her sorrows or worries, he tends to spread unpleasantness. So may I ask you, sir, when somebody is actually worried, isn't it the case as he or she is so overwhelmed with it that his thought process is not so intact, or he's not able to think logically on that particular issue? So when he or she discusses it with another person, maybe who is who he or she thinks is able to help her, isn't it the case that it is a better situation? Maybe that other person is thinking or speaking without any presuppositions, so that he or she is able to help that person who is in need. I am speaking it from out of my own experience, because most of the time, even if it is academic or non-academic, I share my concerns with ma'am, actually Srikala ma'am, and after I interact with her, I tend to get motivated. Most of the time, this is the case. So when you said that it is not the proper way, I'm a little confused. So can you please address this?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. When I said that, when you are sharing is for two different purposes. Assume that I go to a doctor and tell him that I have got fever. That is to get a prescription and get cured. I am sure as a student you are going to your teacher to get that answer. When you share it with some of your colleagues, what do? They will say, yeah, I am also not able to understand. That's a very tough job. How does it help? That's only what I am saying. See, when I am saying somebody else that I have a headache, I am saying to Rija, I have got severe headache. Why should I tell a lawyer that I have a headache? What will happen? She will misguide me, telling that I also had a headache. When she had a headache when her husband was beside. Maybe the neighbor had a fight. There is because she just traveled a bus and then that was heavy rush. But my headache was I am not able to solve a mathematics problem. So what is essentially required is being with someone. There is one poetry which I have got. I need someone. That's a beautiful poem. When you are in sorrow or happy, morally, emotionally, it is our temptation to share it with somebody else at home. What is the problem of this? Nothing. What is the benefit of this? Nothing. You understood what I am saying? When I have a problem, I'll tell you I've got severe back pain. Immediately the other fellow also, I also have a back pain, yeah. How are you now? Now I am alright. But day before yesterday, no, it was severe. See, day before yesterday it was severe, but today you are alright. No, we don't tell that. We keep sharing problems. That doesn't add any value. Why are you doing it? I will have only one reason, because you have nothing else to do. I am sure you have a very serious things to do. You will forget about your problems. I keep telling, a mother had got severe back pain. If the child is running and falling, will the mother will say, I have back pain, I will not run? They will run and catch that boy, right? So these are because, do you think Prime Minister have got lot of, I keep asking, there was a lot of complaint that Prime Minister Modi travels from east to west and west to east. Somebody travels from 4 hours from Gulf to India, they will say, I have got a jet lag. Do you think Prime Minister can take 8 hours rest because he has a jet lag? Immediately after landing, I worked with the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's office. So I know how Prime Minister works. They work for 22 hours with the file. 2 hours they sleep sometime. It is not that simple to be in the highest position. So it is all because, we have a normal tendency to share. That should not happen. That's only what I'm saying. And if that you think is a relationship, that is life, that's nobody can help you. But going with a problem to your teacher for solving it is a different matter. And I am sure the teacher is not going to tell. I also did my PhD and I had a problem. I will not go to my professor and ask. He will not tell, yeah, it's a difficult problem, I will not be able to solve it. He never told me. Probably he will call some other student and tell it's a simpler problem, you solve it for him. That's what generally happened, because professors don't solve problems. They only redirect you. There is a book, very good book, the beautiful, the monkey's
You are really repeating as professors. This is very tight.
No, I am also a professor. You are not different, I am not different. I am also a professor of a university. I am a mathematics professor, I am a management professor. I gave different roles. I keep saying, no professor should solve problems. If professor can solve problems, I will publish my paper. If I cannot solve my problem, I will give to a student as a PhD problem. So, see, that is how you should make the youngsters are more brighter and brilliant. That's how they solve problems, So, my professor used to tell, then when there is difficult problem, we will give to. My professor produced almost 45-50 PhDs, mathematics PhD. So, it's always like that. We got problems which are much difficult. So, when we go to our professor, if they solve, that means our problem is not something new. You should have problem which is unsolvable by somebody else. That is why you have given PhD. Assume that for all your problems, your professor is giving answer, your PhD is useless. What is that PhD you are doing when your professor knows answers for that, yeah? It should not happen. You should have problems where answers are not available. That is what is genuine PhD.
No, but is it a question? No. It's for positivity. No.
Hello?
That's not a question. Is there any other question from anyone
Yes,
else?
if I may ask another question, Professor.
Yeah, you decided it is final. Thank you.
You're speaking about education and the problem in educating students when they're not responding and interacting.
Yeah.
So from the standpoint of someone coming to another person with a problem and wanting them to fix it, so to speak,
Yeah.
I'm studying counseling education. So in the counseling environment, people are coming to me with a problem. And what's being taught right now in the system of cognitive psychology for mental health services is positive psychology philosophy that is highly ingrained in the counselor being empathetic and guiding the person through questions. But what's not being taught is for the counselor to impart their own knowledge and possibly lead that person into understanding where they're having a conflict. So I'm curious what your position is on the progress of positive psychology and maybe the detriment to people being over empathetic.
Yeah, I tell you, you have got in every thesis, we have got what is literature survey. So I'm sure you can refer to the best literature available, probably a similar problem, probably a similar method, probably a similar data in a different methodology. Somebody has used it. Why can't you look at it and read? That has to be the guidance given by a guide. I have to tell them that is what I said. the 1 Minute Manager carries monkeys on his shoulders. That's a beautiful book. 1 Minute Manager carries monkeys on his shoulders. You can take the problem and then become empathetic. You can solve problem. You can support them. Instead of that, we were scientists, 20 years I worked in the space department as a scientist. When the junior comes, it is not my job to solve his problem. If I look at his problem and then see that, then I am actually wasting my time. So what is to be done in an office environment? When somebody comes with a problem, I'll ask him, tell me, how can you solve it? Or you tell me who among this group who knows some solution for that. Maybe make it as a debate, discussion, brainstorming, identify, oh, this person tried to solve this in this style. That can be a literature survey, that can be consulting to many people. So I am diversifying, looking at a divergent look from different direction than my own direction. So I should not make somebody to look in my direction. As a supervisor, my job is to make students to look from all directions. That's why I am helping somebody to write a philosophy thesis. I am also helping somebody to write management thesis. I am also helping somebody to write mathematics thesis. See, when you take a PhD, it is not that subject. You are learning how to do research. When I know how to do research, I know how to do research in different subjects. Because solving problem is the method which I am learning. That is true with any problem. When I am learning cycling, I am not learning cycling on that road. I am learning cycling for which I need a road. You are doing PhD in a subject because that happens to be your subject. That doesn't mean you cannot do something else. So that is what is called expertise. So I must be able to give him the trick and solutions for how to solve problems. Not helping him to solve problem, not sympathizing with him. Methodology, how to attack the problem. That is what my innovation. That's why we are called researchers.
No, that's a great method of instilling far transfer.
That is what I do.
You're imparting your knowledge is by telling them, here's other problems. Maybe by solving those, you can have more knowledge on what you're doing.
That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other question?
I can be contacted on my telephone, WhatsApp, YouTube. Check Dr. TPS. DR for doctor, TPS, temperature pressure second. Dr. TPS, and then search. I'll be on internet.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, sir. If there are no other questions, then we will wind up the session.